Imagine standing in the blazing Egyptian sun, the desert wind whipping across your face as your eyes lock onto an object so massive, so ancient, and so mysterious that it feels almost unreal. Rising nearly 500 feet above the sand, the Great Pyramid of Giza isn't just a pile of limestone. It's the last surviving wonder of the ancient world, a monument that has baffled scholars, inspired adventurers, and captured human imagination for over 4,000 years. Think about it. Civilizations have risen and fallen. Empires have come and gone. America was still thousands of years from even being discovered by Europeans. And yet this colossal structure was already standing tall, silently watching history unfold. If the Great Pyramid could talk, what secrets would it reveal? What truths about human ambition, genius, and mystery are locked within its stone walls? Today, we're diving into the top 10 facts about the Great Pyramid of Giza, starting with some shocking details you might never have heard before. 10. The pyramid was originally covered in gleaming white limestone. Most people today picture the Great Pyramid as we see it now, a weathered, sandy-colored giant, rough around the edges, sitting under the Egyptian sun. But did you know that in its prime, the pyramid didn't look like that at all? It once shimmered like a giant mirror under the desert sky. The ancient Egyptians covered the pyramid in polished white Tura limestone casing stones, so perfectly cut and fitted that the surface would have gleamed in the sunlight and even reflected the moonlight at night. Imagine traveling across the desert in ancient times and suddenly spotting what looked like a colossal glowing beacon on the horizon. It wasn't just a tomb. It was a symbol meant to dazzle, to show the power of the pharaoh, and perhaps even to guide souls into eternity. Some historians believe that when it was freshly completed, the Great Pyramid would have looked like a shining jewel, visible from miles away. Try to picture standing on the banks of the Nile thousands of years ago. The river is bustling with boats, merchants are shouting, animals braying, and amid all this life the sun suddenly hits the pyramid just right. The reflection would have been so intense it could blind you for a second. That's how radiant it was. In fact, some researchers think the ancient Egyptians might have designed it this way on purpose, as a kind of solar power symbol, connecting the pharaoh with Ra, the sun god, the most important deity of all. Sadly, those casing stones didn't survive intact. Over centuries, especially after earthquakes shook Egypt, much of the outer limestone was loosened and stolen by builders who used the material for mosques, fortresses, and other construction projects in Cairo. That's why today we see the raw core structure, rougher blocks stacked in that famous triangular shape. But even stripped down, the pyramid still inspires awe. And if you want to imagine how it really looked back then, think about the Luxor Hotel in Las Vegas. Its pyramid design was directly inspired by Giza, and at night, a bright light shoots from its peak into the sky. Now picture the actual Great Pyramid doing that naturally, glowing under the Egyptian sun without modern technology. It wasn't just a monument, it was a cosmic lighthouse. Another mind-blowing detail? Experts say those casing stones were cut so precisely, with joints less than a millimeter thick, that even today with advanced machines, it would be a challenge to achieve that level of precision on such a massive scale. This fact alone has fueled centuries of speculation. How could ancient builders with copper tools and manual labor possibly achieve something so perfect? Was it sheer genius or something more mysterious? Conspiracy theorists have run wild with this, suggesting everything from alien technology to lost ancient sciences. Whatever the truth, one thing is certain. When the pyramid was completed, it wasn't just big, it was breathtaking. Number 9. The pyramid was the tallest structure in the world for nearly 4,000 years. When we talk about human achievement, one way we often measure greatness is height. Who can build the tallest skyscraper, the biggest tower, the structure that scrapes the heavens? Today, we think about New York's One World Trade Center, the Eiffel Tower in Paris, or the Burj Khalifa in Dubai, which is currently the tallest building in the world at over 2,700 feet. But here is the thing. The Great Pyramid of Giza held that record long before steel beams and cranes existed. It was the tallest man-made structure on Earth for nearly 4,000 years. Let that sink in. No building, no monument, no tower surpassed it until the Lincoln Cathedral in England was constructed around the year 1311 AD. Originally, the pyramid stood at about 481 feet tall, though erosion and the loss of its outer stones have reduced it to about 450 feet today. To put that in perspective, imagine stacking the Statue of Liberty, base to torch, inside the pyramid. It would fit, with room to spare. That's how massive this structure is. And unlike modern skyscrapers, which rely on advanced engineering, steel, and concrete, the pyramid was built entirely with stone, an estimated 2.3 million blocks, some weighing as much as 15 tons each. The sheer logistics are staggering. Imagine trying to move one block that heavy across sand without wheels, cranes, or trucks. Now multiply that by millions. For centuries, travelers from Greece, Rome, and beyond came to Egypt and marveled at this towering wonder. Many couldn't believe humans had built it at all. Ancient writers often speculated that supernatural forces had to be involved. Herodotus, the famous Greek historian, visited in the 5th century BC and was so impressed that he wrote down elaborate, though not always accurate, stories about how it was built. His accounts helped spread the legend of the pyramid throughout the ancient world. What's even more incredible is how the pyramid's height symbolized something much deeper. The Egyptians weren't just obsessed with size for its own sake. They saw the pyramid as a cosmic mountain, a bridge between Earth and the heavens, a physical stairway to eternity. The very shape of the pyramid, with its wide base narrowing up to a single point, was a metaphor for the pharaoh's journey from human to divine, from mortal king to eternal God. In a way, it wasn't just the tallest structure in the world. It was meant to be the ultimate gateway to forever. Think about it like this. In America, when skyscrapers like the Empire State Building or the Sears Tower, now Willis Tower, were built, they weren't just practical office spaces. They were symbols, signs of progress, ambition, and national pride. The Egyptians were doing the exact same thing, except on a scale so bold and mysterious that it continues to stun us today. The fact that no one beat their record for thousands of years shows just how advanced they were and how enduring their vision was. And here as a kicker. Even after the Lincoln Cathedral technically surpassed the pyramid's height in the Middle Ages, the cathedral's spire eventually collapsed. That meant the pyramid once again reclaimed its spot as the tallest structure until much later. It is almost as if history itself could not keep the Great Pyramid off the throne of architectural achievement. Number 8. Nobody really knows how it was built. When you look at the Great Pyramid, one question comes to mind almost instantly. How on earth did they build this thing? Imagine being an architect in modern America, used to cranes, bulldozers, trucks, and computer modeling, and then being told to build the same structure using nothing but manpower, rope, wood sledges, and copper tools. It seems impossible. And yet, 4,500 years ago, the ancient Egyptians managed it. The crazy part? We still don't know exactly how. Historians and engineers have spent centuries trying to solve the puzzle. Did they build a massive straight ramp that stretched for miles, dragging the stones up gradually as the pyramid rose higher? Or did they use a spiral ramp that wrapped around the outside of the pyramid, dismantling it as they went? Some even suggest they built internal ramps hidden within the pyramid itself. Each theory has pros and cons, but none fully explains how 2.3 million stone blocks, some weighing up to 15 tons, were stacked with such precision. Think about moving one stone that size. In the U.S., if you wanted to haul a 15-ton block across the desert today, you'd need a flatbed truck, a crane, and an entire crew of trained workers. The Egyptians did it without wheels, without engines, without steel cables. Recent discoveries suggest they may have poured water on the sand in front of the sledges to reduce friction, creating a slick surface that made it easier to drag the stones. Imagine a team of dozens of men, chanting in rhythm, heaving on ropes as the stone slowly slides forward across dampened sand. It is a brilliant but simple trick, one that shows just how clever they were with the limited technology at hand. And then there's the precision. Modern laser surveys have shown that the pyramid is aligned to true north with an error of less than a fraction of a degree. Its base is almost perfectly level within less than an inch across a 13-acre area. That is like building a football field-sized platform and having it be so flat that a marble wouldn't roll in any direction. The corners are aligned so sharply that even with today's best surveying equipment, it's difficult to replicate that kind of accuracy. All of this has fueled wild speculation. Some people claim the Egyptians had lost advanced technology. Others believe extraterrestrials must have been involved, lending their knowledge to early humans. While mainstream archaeologists dismiss the alien theories, the truth is still astounding. Human beings, working with simple tools and pure ingenuity, accomplish something so grand that we still scratch our heads about it today. There's also the sheer scale of labor. Herodotus once claimed that 100,000 workers built the pyramid over 20 years, but modern research suggests the number may have been closer to 20 or 30,000 at a time, still enormous. Excavations near Giza have uncovered the remains of workers' villages, complete with bakeries, breweries, and even medical care. These weren't slaves being whipped under the sun, as Hollywood often shows. Evidence suggests many were skilled laborers, fed meat and bread, and housed in organized camps. It was more like a national workforce, a project of pride that united Egypt. To really put it in perspective, picture building a giant NFL stadium. Let us say the Dallas Cowboys AT&T Stadium, but by hand, with stone, in the desert. And then doing that over and over until you reach a structure taller than the Statue of Liberty. That's the scale we're talking about. It's no wonder people are still obsessed with this mystery. Even in the age of AI and rockets to Mars, we look back and say, wait, how did they pull that off? Number 7. It's not just one pyramid, it's part of a complex. When most people think about the Great Pyramid, they imagine a lone giant rising out of the desert. But here's the thing, it's not standing by itself. The Great Pyramid is actually part of a much larger complex, a kind of ancient city of the dead. Surrounding it are 2 smaller pyramids built for Khufu's queens, dozens of mastaba tombs for nobles and officials' temples, causeways, and even mysterious boat pits that once held full-sized wooden ships buried to carry the pharaoh's soul into the afterlife. One of the most astonishing finds was the so-called Khufu ship, discovered in 1954 in a sealed pit at the base of the pyramid. This massive cedarwood vessel, over 140 feet long, had been disassembled into more than 1,000 pieces and carefully buried. When archaeologists reconstructed it, they realized it wasn't just a symbolic model. It was an actual seaworthy ship. Imagine that. Buried next to the pyramid was a boat big enough to sail the Nile, perhaps even out into the open sea. Its purpose? Likely to transport the king's spirit on a journey with the sun god across the heavens. The pyramid complex also included mortuary temples where priests performed rituals for centuries after Khufu's death. These temples were connected to the Nile by long stone causeways, allowing processions and offerings to flow in and out like clockwork. Think of it as an entire ecosystem built to keep one man, the pharaoh, alive in the afterlife forever. And then there are the satellite pyramids. Walk around the Giza plateau and you'll notice several smaller pyramids clustered near the main one. These were built for Khufu's wives and family members. It shows how central the idea of eternal life was, not just for the king, but for his closest circle. It's like building not only a massive mansion for yourself, but also luxury condos for your family, all connected in one sprawling estate. The layout of the complex wasn't random. Scholars believe the pyramids were carefully positioned to mirror the stars in Orion's belt, connecting the earthly structures with the heavens. The Egyptians saw the sky as a map for the afterlife, and aligning their monuments with the stars was a way of ensuring the king-a soul would ascend properly. In other words, the pyramid wasn't just a tomb, it was part of a cosmic machine, a massive religious symbol linking earth and sky. To make the comparison modern, imagine visiting Arlington National Cemetery in the United States. The rows of white headstones, the tomb of the unknown soldier, the eternal flame. It's not just about burial. It's about symbolism, about national identity, about connecting the living with the dead in a sacred way. The Giza complex was the ancient Egyptian version of that, except on a scale so massive it still dwarfs everything around it. And here's a chilling thought. Much of the complex remains buried under sand. Even today, archaeologists continue to discover new shafts, hidden tombs, and chambers around the pyramid. Every time ground-penetrating radar is used, hints of undiscovered passages emerge. So, while we think of the Great Pyramid as a single monument, the truth is it's the centerpiece of an entire sacred landscape, one that may still hold untold secrets. 6. The pyramid contains hidden chambers and mysteries still being discovered. For thousands of years, explorers, grave robbers, and archaeologists alike have tried to unlock every corner of the Great Pyramid, but the truth is, we still don't know all of its secrets. This isn't just an empty stone shell. Deep inside are a network of passageways, hidden chambers, and architectural oddities that have puzzled researchers for centuries. And here's the kicker. New technology is still revealing things we never knew were there. The most famous rooms inside are the King's Chamber, the Queen's Chamber, and the Grand Gallery. The King's Chamber is where Pharaoh Khufu's sarcophagus rests, made from a single block of granite so large and heavy that no one quite knows how they got it inside. The Grand Gallery leading up to it is an enormous sloping passageway, almost like a cathedral nave carved straight into the pyramid, with corbelled stone ceilings that stretch high above. It's one of those places that, when you stand there, you feel dwarfed by human ambition. But beyond the obvious chambers, there are the mysteries. In 2017, a team of scientists using muon radiography, basically subatomic particles from cosmic rays that can pass through stone, discovered a previously unknown void above the Grand Gallery. This space is at least 30 meters long, comparable to an entire airplane hangar, and yet no one has been inside. Is it another hidden chamber? A construction gap? A secret storage room? No one knows. It's like the pyramid is still whispering secrets after 4.5 millennia. And this isn't the only strange thing. Some shafts inside the Queen's chamber seem to lead nowhere, but robotic probes have revealed small doors with copper fittings at the end. Imagine sending a robot into a stone shaft no bigger than a shoebox, crawling for hundreds of feet, only to find a mysterious door that hasn't been opened in thousands of years. What's behind it? Another chamber? Treasure? Or something symbolic the Egyptians never intended to be opened? That's the kind of riddle the pyramid loves to throw at us. There's also the question of why certain chambers exist at all. The so-called relieving chambers above the King's Chamber, for example, are stacked with giant granite beams weighing up to 70 tons each. Supposedly, they were built to distribute weight and prevent the chamber from collapsing, but many wonder if they had symbolic or hidden purposes. The stones in these upper chambers are scrawled with ancient graffiti, including references to Khufu himself, which is one of the key pieces of evidence linking him directly to the pyramid's construction. Think about this from a modern perspective. Imagine touring the Empire State Building in New York, and suddenly engineers discover an entire hidden floor no one ever knew about. Or, better yet, imagine NASA finding a secret room inside the Saturn V rocket. That's how mind-blowing these discoveries are. The fact that we are still learning new things about the pyramid shows just how ahead of its time it really was. And here's the really eerie part. Some believe that many more hidden spaces remain. Every new scan of the pyramid reveals anomalies, voids, or density changes that hint at yet undiscovered passageways. It is possible that secrets buried by the Egyptians thousands of years ago are still waiting to be uncovered by us today. Think about that. While skyscrapers rise and fall in America, while empires are born and die, the pyramid is still there, hiding its mysteries like an eternal riddle, daring us to solve it. 5. The alignment with the stars is shockingly precise. If you thought the pyramid was just a giant stone mountain sitting randomly in the desert, think again. One of its most mind-blowing features is how precisely it aligns with the stars and cardinal directions. The 4 sides of the Great Pyramid are aligned almost perfectly with north, south, east, and west, so precisely that the error is less than a fraction of a degree. To put that into perspective, if you built a square patio in your backyard and tried to align it to true north with that level of accuracy, you'd almost certainly fail, even with modern tools. Yet the Egyptians nailed it 4,000 years ago. So how did they do it? One theory is that they used the stars in Orion S belt and the circumpolar stars to mark directions. By watching the night sky carefully over many years, they could determine true north with astonishing accuracy. Another idea is that they tracked the sun's shadow at equinox. Either way, what is amazing is that they didn't just eyeball it, they engineered the pyramid as a kind of giant compass locked into the cosmos. But it doesn't stop there. The pyramid's dimensions also seem to encode astronomical and mathematical knowledge. For example, some researchers point out that the ratio of the pyramid's perimeter to its height is almost exactly equal to 2p, suggesting knowledge of pi long before the Greeks formally calculated it. Others argue that its layout mirrors the constellation of Orion, which was associated with Osiris, the god of the afterlife. In this view, the pyramid wasn't just a tomb, it was a celestial machine, designed to launch the pharaoh's soul into the heavens. Picture it this way. In America, NASA builds rockets that align with precise launch windows based on the rotation of the Earth and the position of the planets. In ancient Egypt, they were essentially doing the same thing, but with stone. The pyramid was their rocket, and the stars were their navigation system. Instead of blasting off, the pharaoh's spirit would ascend along cosmic pathways, guided by perfect alignments encoded in stone. Even more astonishing is how the pyramid relates to other structures around it. The 3 pyramids of Giza are arranged in a pattern that some scholars say resembles Orion's belt, with the Nile River representing the Milky Way. Whether this was intentional or a coincidence is still debated, but if it was deliberate, it shows a level of cosmic thinking that boggles the mind. The Egyptians weren't just building monuments, they were mapping the universe onto Earth. Modern-day stargazers and engineers alike are blown away by this. Imagine being in Washington, D.C., and realizing that the Lincoln Memorial, the Washington Monument, and the Capitol Dome are all arranged to mirror a constellation. That's the kind of precision we're talking about here. Except instead of neoclassical buildings, it's giant stone pyramids that have stood the test of time. And here is the wild part. Some ancient cultures thousands of miles away also built monuments aligned with the stars, from Stonehenge in England to the Mayan temples in Central America. Was this just human fascination with the heavens, or is there a deeper, shared knowledge we've lost? Whatever the case, the Great Pyramid stands as one of the clearest examples of humans shaping the earth to reflect the sky. Letter 4. The pyramid once held treasures, but was looted. Long ago. Whenever people think about the Great Pyramid, they often imagine it stuffed with golden treasures, gleaming jewelry, priceless statues, and elaborate burial goods meant to accompany the pharaoh into the afterlife. And that image isn't wrong. Ancient Egyptian tombs were often filled with staggering wealth, from Tutankhamun's mask to chariots, weapons, and rare perfumes. So it's reasonable to assume that Khufu's pyramid once held treasures beyond imagination. The heartbreaking truth? Almost all of it was stolen thousands of years ago. The Great Pyramid had multiple passageways, including hidden shafts and blocked corridors designed to confuse intruders. Massive granite plugs were slid into place to seal the entrance after the burial, like ancient security systems. But even with all these defenses, grave robbers eventually broke in. Historians believe the looting happened not long after the Old Kingdom collapsed, during times of political chaos when central authority weakened. The treasures that once lay inside the king's chamber, the objects meant to sustain Khufu as soul for eternity, were carried off, melted down, or sold. When Arab historians visited in the Middle Ages, they described how rulers even ordered forced entry into the pyramid, blasting through stone with fire and vinegar to reach hidden passages. By the time modern explorers arrived in the 1800s, what remained inside were empty granite sarcophagi, broken relics, and long-abandoned corridors. The gleaming white limestone casing stones had been stripped away centuries earlier to build mosques in Cairo, and the riches within had vanished. It's a bit like walking into Fort Knox today and finding the vault doors blown open, the gold bars gone, and nothing left but dust. You know, unimaginable wealth was once there, but all that remains are shadows. The looting of the Great Pyramid has left us with countless unanswered questions. What artifacts were buried with Khufu? Did the Egyptians place scrolls of knowledge, maps, or even secret texts inside? Were there experimental items, tools, or objects that could have revealed more about their civilization? We'll probably never know. And yet, even stripped of its treasures, the pyramid remains priceless. Its true wealth lies not in gold, but in stone. The architecture, the engineering, the staggering ambition that created it. Think of it like this. The Mona Lisa is worth hundreds of millions, but if someone stole it, we'd still treasure the Louvre itself, the walls and halls that inspired generations. The pyramid's survival, even gutted, is a kind of miracle. It's a silent reminder that while wealth can vanish, human achievement in stone can outlast time itself. But here's the eerie twist. Some believe not everything was taken. Hidden chambers, still sealed and undiscovered, might hold the last untouched treasures of Khufu. Every new scan of the pyramid fuels speculation. Could we one day uncover a room filled with ancient relics untouched since the day they were placed inside? Imagine opening a door and being the first human in 4,500 years to see what lies beyond. That possibility is what keeps explorers dreaming. Number 3. It may encode mathematical and geographical secrets. As if the sheer size and mystery weren't enough, some researchers argue the pyramid isn't just a tomb or monument. It is also a coded message carved in stone. Its measurements seem to hold strange coincidences that suggest the builders knew more about math and geography than we usually credit them with. For example, the pyramid's original height, 481 feet, compared with the length of its base, creates a ratio incredibly close to the mathematical constant p. That's right, the number you learned in school, 3.14159. Somehow, this relationship shows up in the pyramid's proportions thousands of years before Greek mathematicians formally described it. Was it intentional? Some say yes, others say coincidence. But either way, it's astonishing. Then there's the perimeter of the base. When you measure it and compare it to the pyramid's height, you get a ratio close to 2p, as if the pyramid was designed to represent a circle squared. It's like the builders were embedding advanced geometry into the very stones. Some even claim the pyramid encodes the value of the golden ratio, another mathematical constant tied to beauty and proportion. The geographical coincidences are just as mind-bending. The pyramid sits almost exactly at the geographic center of Earth's landmass, with the longest line of latitude and the longest line of longitude intersecting nearby. Out of all the places in the world, why here? Was it chance, or did the Egyptians somehow know more about the planet's shape and geography than we think? Mainstream archaeologists caution against reading too much into this, but the coincidences are hard to ignore. Consider also how perfectly the pyramid is oriented to true north. The margin of error is so tiny that some researchers suggest the builders had to use the stars themselves to achieve it. And if that's true, then the pyramid isn't just aligned to Earth, it's aligned to the cosmos. It's a blueprint connecting our world to the greater universe. In America, think about the way Washington, D.C. is laid out. The Washington Monument, the Capitol, and the Lincoln Memorial form alignments loaded with symbolism, deliberately designed to encode meaning into geography. The Great Pyramid seems to do the same thing, but on a scale so massive and precise that it makes city planning look like child AS play. This is why the pyramid has been a magnet for fringe theories. Some believe it was built not just as a tomb, but as a kind of ancient library, a monument designed to preserve universal knowledge. Others argue it could have been an observatory, a giant sundial, or even a power plant channeling natural energy. While mainstream science doesn't support these wilder ideas, the pyramid's dimensions do suggest the builders were encoding something far deeper than just stone. And maybe that's the real magic. Whether intentional or coincidence, the numbers hidden in the pyramid inspire awe because they suggest human beings, thousands of years ago, were grappling with the same universal truths we still study today. Math, geometry, astronomy. The pyramid whispers all of them in silent stone. And the fact that its proportions continue to spark debate in classrooms, documentaries, and late-night conversations shows just how timeless its mysteries really are. Circa 2. The Great Pyramid is the only surviving wonder of the ancient world. Thousands of years ago, long before the internet, before television, before skyscrapers, there was a list of marvels that defined human achievement, the 7 wonders of the ancient world. These were the jaw-dropping sights that travelers and poets wrote about with awe. The Hanging Gardens of Babylon, the Colossus of Rhodes, the Lighthouse of Alexandria, the Temple of Artemis, the statue of Zeus at Olympia, and the mausoleum at Halicarnassus. 6 of them have crumbled to dust, lost to earthquakes, fires, and time itself. Only one still stands today, defying the centuries, the Great Pyramid of Giza. Think about that for a moment. Imagine if in the future, 2,000 years from now, all that's left of New York City was a single building, say, the Empire State Building, while everything else had vanished. That's what it's like with the Great Pyramid. It's the lone survivor of an age of wonders, still towering above the desert while its 6 siblings exist only in memory. Why did it survive when the others didn't? Part of it is sheer size. The pyramid is built from millions of tons of stone, stacked so solidly that not even earthquakes could bring it down. Part of it is geography. Egypt's dry desert climate preserved the structure far better than wetter, more volatile environments elsewhere. And part of it, perhaps, is fate. The pyramid was simply too important to human imagination to vanish. Travelers from Greece, Rome, and later Europe all made pilgrimages to see it. Napoleon Bonaparte once stood before the pyramids and famously told his soldiers, "Soldiers, from the top of these pyramids, 40 centuries look down upon you." Writers, artists, and filmmakers have drawn endless inspiration from it. Even today, millions of tourists visit every year, standing in the shadow of something that predates most of human history as we know it. Being the only surviving wonder gives the pyramid a kind of mystical aura. It's not just an Egyptian treasure, it's a global one, a direct line connecting us to the earliest achievements of civilization. While other wonders are reconstructed in our imagination through ancient texts, this one we can still touch, still walk inside, still feel under our fingertips. It's a time machine, a bridge across 4,500 years, and that alone makes it one of the most extraordinary facts of all. Number 1. The pyramid still inspires mystery, awe, and endless theories. And finally, the number 1 fact about the Great Pyramid of Giza is this. Even after all the excavations, the measurements, the studies, and the documentaries, it still refuses to give up all its secrets. It remains one of the greatest mysteries of human history. Some see it as a tomb, plain and simple, built to house Khufu's body and soul. Others argue it's far more than that, a monument encoding astronomical knowledge, a symbol of divine power, a cosmic machine built to connect heaven and earth. Fringe theories abound. Some claim it was an ancient power plant, generating energy through the vibration of Earth itself. Others suggest it was built with lost technologies, or even with help from civilizations beyond our planet. While mainstream archaeology doesn't support these wilder theories, the fact that the pyramid sparks them is telling. Few monuments on Earth have such power to ignite human imagination. We don't argue over how the Eiffel Tower was built. We don't wonder if aliens constructed the Statue of Liberty. But the pyramid, that's different. It carries an aura of eternal enigma. Even modern technology hasn't closed the case. Every new scan reveals anomalies, hidden voids, unexplained densities, or shafts leading nowhere. Archaeologists admit we may never fully map its interior without destroying it, so some mysteries could remain sealed forever. That sense of the unknown is part of what makes it so magnetic. And here's the thing. The pyramid doesn't just inspire scholars or conspiracy theorists. It inspires ordinary people, travelers, dreamers. Imagine a kid in America watching a documentary late at night, eyes wide, thinking, how could humans thousands of years ago do this? That kid might grow up to become an engineer, an astronaut, or a historian. The pyramid plants seeds of wonder that ripple across generations. It's also a symbol of ambition. Standing before it, you realize human beings are capable of staggering feats when they come together with vision and determination. In a way, the Great Pyramid isn't just about Egypt as past, it is about humanity, is potential. If people with copper chisels and ropes could build this 4,500 years ago, what could we accomplish today with all our knowledge and tools? Maybe colonizing Mars doesn't sound so crazy after all. That's why the Great Pyramid's greatest fact isn't about its size, its age, or its treasures. It's about its power to endure in stone, in story, and in spirit. Long after we're gone, it will likely still be there, rising from the sands, reminding whoever comes next that, once upon a time, humans reached for eternity and left it behind in stone. And that's our journey through the top 10 facts about the Great Pyramid of Giza. From its gleaming limestone casing to its hidden chambers, from its staggering height to its role as the last surviving wonder of the ancient world, it's clear that this monument is more than just rock stacked in the desert. It's a mystery, a masterpiece, and a message from the past that still speaks to us today. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of history's greatest mysteries, don't forget to like this video, share it with friends who love history, and of course subscribe to our channel for more incredible top 10s that uncover the world's strangest, most fascinating secrets. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a story that might just change the way you see the world. And tell us in the comments, which fact about the Great Pyramid blew your mind the most? We'd love to hear from you.